US continues to attack India over oil deal with Russia. Government sources have revealed to your channel that India will not reduce its purchase of Russian oil. Despite this sort of an external pressure, ministry sources are emphasizing that the shift in oil purchase strategies is not intended to please the US, but it is a strategic decision to manage energy needs and costs. Pallavi continues to stay on with us. Pallavi, this is exactly what you were trying to highlight a little while earlier on India's stance that trade negotiations cannot be held at a gunpoint, especially when it comes to moving past the 25% reciprocal tariff, when it comes to the penalty that's been announced by the US on defense and energy imports from Russia. India's not going to really withdraw any of those decisions and strategies, isn't it?
Christine, when we opted for the Russian oil and the reason, and I remember the minister concerned had also said this in an interview to me, when he said that, we look after our national interests. At that point of time, Russian oil was, of course, working out to be much, much cheaper. There were heavy discounts, and it was also in the backdrop of, the Russia-Ukraine war, and there was a lot of criticism in many quarters that what kind of a stand is India taking? Why should we take oil from Russia? If you remember, S. Jaishankar at an interaction had made the point, and where he had called out the bluff and the hypocrisy of the Western world, saying that in the dead of the night, they are the ones who are purchasing oil from Russia. So we don't need to get sermons from the world on why we are going in for Russian oil. The point is, at the end of the day, who matters? Who matters really to the government is the people, the consumers. The consumers are king. And Russian oil, with its heavy discount, was considered to be the best alternative available. It also ensured that the oil prices were not staggering up high like in many other countries. But now the discounts start petering out. So now you start looking at other options. That's what we've been told. Oil companies will always look for a better price. They'll always look for better bargains. So to suggest, as some seem to be suggesting, that we are opting out of Russian oil and stopping our supply from there, one, is factually incorrect, and second, it seems to suggest that we are buckling under American pressure. But if you're talking about national interest, you're not going to buckle on any other pressure. But yes, we've looked for alternatives, whether it's South Africa, whether it's Western Africa, Cambodia, other countries as well, and of course the Middle East.
Thank you, Pallavi, for that. We'll come back to you in just a bit, Pallavi. We need to play out this reaction. This is an interaction with CNBC TV 18. US Treasury Secretary has remarked that US President and the whole trade negotiation team has been frustrated with India. They've spoken of the oil imports from Russia, furthermore pointed out that India has also been a big buyer of Russian oil, which they then resell as refined products. Listen in for yourself.
A lot was made of the president's comments about India. We were trying to figure it out exactly what, and it's obviously negotiating and leverage and everything else. And we've heard that we're close with India, and that's one of the majors, other than China, that are left. What was the president's intent yesterday with some of those comments about India? And do you expect something to happen before the deadline?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be up to India. India came to the table early. They've been slow rolling things. So I think that the president, the whole trade team's a bit frustrated with them. And also, India's been a large buyer of sanctioned Russian oil that they then resell as refined products. So, they have not been a great global actor.
Going across to Pallavi Ghosh once again. Pallavi, is there a section in the government that is also looking at this wait and watch approach, primarily because those who've rushed in for a trade agreement with the United States have ended up being in a position wherein they're not getting as much as US is extracting out of them? Is that why we're exercising so much caution as a nation in taking forward the trade agreement or conversations around it with the US?
Absolutely, Christine, you're absolutely right. And we did report this yesterday also. At the Union Cabinet meeting which took place, the Prime Minister did speak about the trade tariff policy which was announced by the American President. But he also told all his party colleagues that please don't speak out of line. There's no need to react and respond to the barbs coming in from the opposition parties. There's no need to needlessly post on the social media. So if you would have watched the developments in the last 24 hours, you're not seeing any off-the-cuff comments coming in from the government or from the BJP, and certainly not responding to all those barbs coming in from the opposition parties, particularly the Congress. And even on Rahul Gandhi's dead economy agreement with President Trump, the BJP is only at the most giving out statistics and figures to show that the claim of Rahul Gandhi that we are a dead economy is absolutely incorrect, and it's also being insensitive. Yes, it's a wait and watch policy because it's not the end of the road. We've seen in the case of other countries, negotiations and renegotiations have taken place. But what is going to make India stand apart is, one, we are not going to buckle under any pressure. Whenever those renegotiations begin and the team comes here and our team could go there to America, we are not going to budge from the fulcrum or the basic point that farming sector, the dairy sector, labor intensive sectors, that is where we are not going to give unended open market access to America. That is going to be taken care of, one. Second, if you think that the Indian side, ministers or the Prime Minister is going to call up the American President and plead with him, that's again something which is not going to be happening. We are not going to be under any kind of pressure or buckle under it. Of course, we would want to have a good deal. We would want to have a good tariff policy. And frankly speaking, Christine, nothing wrong in that. Given the way the global scenario is, it is very important as a revenue earner for our own, the corporate sector, the infrastructure sector, that we need to have good export policies with other countries, and certainly America. If you go by the Commerce Ministry statistics, 25.5% of our trade, our top trade is actually with America. We wouldn't want to give up on that market. We would want to have access. We would give them access, but on our terms.
Can I just say there's also a question mark about the sanctity of any trade deal with the American administration at this point of time. So there's a lot of factors that need to be considered essentially. Thank you so much, Pallavi, for joining us with all those details.